In this video, I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT to create a proposal outline or a list of chapters, and then use the Wizard software to turn that into a document. So you go into Document Projects, add a new project, and we're just getting to a new screen that is in the Wizard. Click the Pick Documents button. And this is the normal screen where you can check off chapters with add template, search by name, and so on. And this is the normal way of just checking off what chapters you want in your proposal. Now, for many proposals, this Quick Start tab, we've curated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of proposal layouts already. So these are all human curated lists. So you might want to start there. But if you want to use ChatGPT to do your outline for you, maybe this is a very specialized, specific type of proposal that is not in any of our lists, there's a new tab called Select by AI. Click this tab, and there's a link to our custom GPT, and you can find this just searching through the GPTs on OpenAI's website as well. And you will have to have an OpenAI subscription right now to use the custom GPT. Now you can ask just normal ChatGPT, the free version. You just might get more mismatches, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But just click this link, and that will bring up the ChatGPT custom GPT called Business Proposal Outline Creator for Proposal Kit. And if you just want to use your normal ChatGPT free version, you can do the same thing here. This custom GPT has just been trained using our lists of thousands of chapter templates and some instructions on how best to get you a list or an outline that our wizard can process. So just give a prompt, and usually I'm going to do some short prompts here just to make it quick, but longer, more detailed prompts might get you a better list. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a fairly general prompt. Write me an outline for a healthcare proposal seeking funding for improving healthcare in a rural community for a nonprofit organization. And we'll just see what ChatGPT comes up with. Now, it's going to come up with many variations on how it's structured its sentences and so on here. It'll add full sentences. Sometimes it'll put numbers. Sometimes it'll add extra paragraphs of information. Sometimes it just gives you just the chapters. Many times it'll give you a lot of variations in how the output is structured. And it's going to give you lists of chapters that many times do match our proposal kit chapters, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes ChatGPT will combine multiple things into a single chapter. Sometimes it will just make up things completely on its own, even though it's been asked to only give results based on our chapter lists. And this is what will happen if you go to normal ChatGPT, the free version, or any other AI where you ask it to build an outline or a list of chapters. If it doesn't know anything about Proposal Kit, it's going to have more randomness in the results. So using this custom GPT will give you the best possible list of matches that will make it easier for our wizard to process and turn it into a template quicker. So ChatGPT gave us a fairly generic list of chapters that would work fine but there's no chapter specific for healthcare in here. Just a basic programs and methods, project management, timelines, budgets, and so on. That might work just fine. But let's ask it to expand on this a little bit more. So. All right, so I'm just going to ask it to expand on the outline, adding some staffing and healthcare specific issues. And it'll usually come back with an altered list of chapters, and it'll throw in some more information. Okay, now you can see it's throwing in some staffing information. Now it didn't give us any healthcare information, so let's try it a little. Let's try one more time. Now, for a proposal like this, there's a good chance you're responding to an RFP, a government grant, or a foundation's RFP that would actually have given you more instructions. So you can use ChatGPT to analyze some of those RFP instructions or pick out those things and add it into your prompt to ensure that critical things in the RFP are added into the outline. Now you can see here we got some healthcare specific issues that would be good for a rural community: mental health, child care, chronic disease. We got the staffing. So let's just copy this. And this actually, this literally copies everything in this final output. And I'm going to click paste from clipboard. And you can see we've got everything from the final output. When you see pound signs and stars and dashes, this is just the formatting. Like the double stars are for bolding, the dashes are for bullet points, pound signs are for headers and subheaders. You can just ignore that. Our wizard will actually process that all out. So I'm just going to click the process suggestions. Now, what's going to happen is the wizard's going to pull out all the chapters from this outline. It's going to automatically select any exact matches like cover letter, title page, and so on. And if there's any chapters it picks out of ChatGPT's outline that aren't exact matches, like healthcare specific issues won't be an exact match, things like that, it's going to either map those by itself, or if there's multiple options, it will give you a list of proposal pack chapters that might be a good match. So for this outline, healthcare specific issues, that's more of a general header, so we could just skip this. Or if we want to have a general healthcare page, then healthcare might be a good option, or health issues. So we'll just use that. And it will ask you yes, no, if you want to add that to the mappings, so that in the future, if ChatGPT gives you the same chapter, it will automatically do this mapping for you. I'm just going to click no here. Mental health services. Well, we have a mental health chapter. So we'll just add that. Maternal and child health. I think we'll just cover that under general public health, chronic disease management. We can just check the diseases chapter if you want to talk about that specifically in the proposal. All right, so with just those few little clicks, we have an entire proposal selected. Now this generate report, this will give you a report of how the wizard did the mappings. We'll just show you that report real quick. Alrighty. So you can see the first column are the actual proposal kit chapters that are now selected for your project. Here's the original terms that ChatGPT suggested, and then how they were mapped. Exact match meant that it was exactly as is. User selected, that tells you what you opted for. And if there's something that the mapping database mapped, which I don't see here, then you'll see that as another how mapped. And the original input. So you could actually email this back to us to aireport@proposalkit.com if you wanted to share this mapping. If you wanted extra help in finding some mappings between some topics, or if the mapping didn't appear correct, you could send this to us to help us improve the mappings. Alrighty, so close this, and you can see here is our selected list of chapters for this project now. And our wizard put them in the normal top-down order that are these kind of templates are normally used in a document, but then you can move these around. So now that we have those 21 chapters selected, you could come over to the add templates. You could add extra chapters if you wanted to. Say this is for a nonprofit. We could go down here to the nonprofit chapters. Add additional information if we wanted to, and so on. Or we could go and add some extra healthcare chapters and so on. So now that the chapters are selected, you can just do all the normal things that the wizard do. Now I'm just going to use this as is. And we'll just build this document, and you can see the final results. All right, now we've built a document, and we've selected one of our healthcare design themes. So whatever design theme of ours you've purchased, that is what the visual look of the document. So you can see we start out with the cover letter, front title, our table of contents, and then all the body pages. And I didn't set up a quote database, but normally these can all be set up, the budgets and everything, with a line item quote database using the wizard. So right now I'm just showing the basic outline of the proposal document, but table of contents, you can see, matches all of those selected chapters. So this is how you can use ChatGPT to create an outline or list of chapters and quickly get that into the wizard and a document generated. So I'll show one more example here. Go change the design theme. All right, so I'm going to ask it for a list of chapters for an infrastructure project. Now notice instead of asking it for an outline last time, I just asked it for a list of chapters. So it should give us a little simpler output. but I did add into the prompt asking for a few specific things just to make sure they're covered. Alrighty, so it created the outline, the list of chapters. And since I asked it for an infrastructure project for a bridge across a river, it knew to add some things about permits, safety plan, risk analysis, environmental impact assessment. Alright, so that actually looks like a pretty good set of chapters for a pretty comprehensive proposal. And again, if this was a grant or an RFP you were responding to, you'd be reading the instructions and making sure your prompt and then your chapters reflect all of the details that need to go into the proposal. So I'm just kind of creating these free form here. All right, so I'm going to copy that. We've created a new project. Select by AI, paste, process suggestions. So financial analysis. I can just do the cost analysis. Quality assurance plan. I can just do quality assurance. Communication plan. Just communications plan. There's just a difference of an S there. Environmental impact assessment, environmental impact. All right, so again, it created a pretty good list of matches right off the bat. I only had to manually select a handful. And we'll just go straight to building the proposal. And I've selected an infrastructure design theme this time. All righty, documents created. And we start with the cover letter. There's our front title page. You can see the table of contents has all of the ChatGPT selected chapters and what we mapped. And if you just scroll down, here's the rest of the document. Now again, the cost summaries, schedules, everything like that can be completely automated in the line item database. And it's ready to fill out. So that is a couple examples of how to use ChatGPT or any other AI to generate an outline or a list of chapters for a proposal and get that built right into a ready-to-edit document in just a matter of minutes using Proposal Kit. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and click subscribe to keep up on the latest proposal writing tips with Proposal Kit.